The latest season of Man into the Wild begins. This man is insane. He hunted a deer. Take the heart off the deer and bite it. The meat is dried on the tree. Survival in the African wilderness is like a vacation. Time came to the 6th day. Gary's getting anxious after a big meal. They still need to worry about food. The shelter is not good enough. Gary plans to continue perfecting the shelter. Jeremy and Trent are out hunting. The team has a clear division of labor. Gary was in charge of building the shelter. The other two went out to find food. They were wandering around the neighborhood. The main one is Chance. Suddenly a big bird appeared here. He took the bow and arrow and started shooting. Unfortunately, it didn't hit. Big Bird taunts the two high men in the air. He's also jerking off with a bow and arrow. He's shooting birds with a bow and arrow. The shriveled calf missed 3 times. To call you a dog is to insult a dog. The Duck Boys side is the worst so far. All this time without protein. Melanie started with a sunburn, and she's been lying there ever since. She barely contributes to the team, you know. Duckman goes out hunting every day. There's no hook and no bow. How do you hunt with an iron bar? He went to the mud puddle and blackened himself. Try to disguise yourself like this. He built a hiding spot. This is just a downwind position. The boar won't smell him. He carries a spear and is ready to hunt. Girl group this way. Come to the buffet when you're hungry. Take as much as you want. Grill the catfish directly over the fire. They're having the most fun right now. Easy access to food. Not very tasty though, but at least you get enough for every meal. The only downside is that there are no men. Lacey group this way. They lost a teammate. Became the weakest team. They came to the shore to find a strong wind blowing. The water level is also rising. That means it's raining in the distance. A heavy rain is coming. They hurried to collect leaves to complete the shelter. These are the only palm leaves around. The leaves are not good at keeping out the rain, but they don't have much choice. After Shane left, there's a lot to be done. Gary group this way. He's digging up some mud. Gary knew it was going to rain, so he wanted to dig up the dirt to make a fireplace. All he can do is keep the fire alive. The roof is never gonna be finished, so we had to build a shelter and maintain the fire. Mix clay with some sand. It will make him stronger. This fireplace would be a great place to bake cookies. The team came back and saw this fireplace. Doesn't seem very happy, because they care more about having a roof. Apparently they didn't see what they wanted. The team thinks the stove will break down in the rain. They all seem to be blaming Gary for not doing the roof. The more they look at it, the less they like it. And Gary's still moving mud to build a furnace. 2 of my teammates are setting up a bunker instead of a shelter. It's okay if they come back from hunting for food. I don't have any food and I blame Gary for the shelter. Duck Boy Band over here. He's been sitting outside. I think there's a big cat up ahead. It should be a lion. The animals become more active in the evening. The Duckman hunts with a spear. The lions are out at the night market. Teammates call out Duckman in the shelter, worried that the Duckman would be eaten by a lion. This high guy is really dedicated. Out at night. This is the wild wilderness of Africa. All around were the cries of wild animals. Duckman is still here to guard. The photographer must be scared to death. He also shouted at each other in the afternoon. My teammates were worried sick at the shelter. The temperature is cooler at night. Duckman feels cold outside. Fortunately, the Duckman finally returned to the shelter. Being the only guy on the team, Duck Guy is being doted on by 2 girls. They sat round the fire. The worries I just had have not eased. In the evening, it began to rain heavily in Africa. Gary, they had to stand in the rain. See the fire they keep. The team began to blame Gary for not putting up the shelter roof sooner. Is this the only way to sleep standing up tonight? The same goes for the Duck Boys. None of the teams set up shelter. They had to keep adding more wood to the fire. It was thundering and dripping. The rain hasn't officially fallen yet. The firewood has already been burned. Water begins to accumulate on the ground. The fire began to die down. Girl group here against the wall, a little bit of rain. We'll see if it's a blessing or a curse. Because the rain continued. Girl, the walls are starting to crumble. Lacey's the only one with a roof, but it was also very bad in the rain. It's very cold on rainy days. The fire is almost out. Lacey's holding on. Big guy wide around and very calm. I didn't even notice Lacey next to me. The time came to the 7th day. I didn't sleep all night last night. The big ones have been frozen stiff, but I think he can move. He should have said his dick was frozen hard. Even so, he didn't warm Lacey up either. Lacey thanked her very much. She saved her innocence. Girl group this way. The walls of their shelter are dangerous. It could collapse at any moment. They are thinking about moving, although they have plenty of catfish to eat. But without a man they look haggard. Duckman's side is also very embarrassed. Last night was the worst night they've ever had. The young woman also became crazy. They also want to move to a good place. If there are no accidents, they're probably going to run into a girl group. There's no food here anyway. Moving can be a good thing. Get the tattered map out. I don't see any good places around. The so-called move is to move an iron pot. Their team is by far the worst. Haven't eaten anything yet. If we leave, we might die of exhaustion. If you don't go, I'm sure I'll starve to death here. There are many thorns on the road. They were pricked countless times. Gary's side is also very tired from torture. Everyone is feeling very tired. Gary has been in charge of the shelter. After last night's lesson, he's putting up the roof of the shelter today. Jeremy hasn't eaten for days. He feels very hungry now. That's how you got kicked out of Desert Island Survival. This time he really wanted to finish the challenge. But the night was tormented by cold and hunger. It made him very uncomfortable. Africa is very hot during the day. Lacey wants to make a leather dress. She also wants to dye the leather, ready to color with urine. After laying the leather on the stone, then Lacey stood on it and started peeing. This is crazy. Next to the giraffe, witness the process. The girls are out here looking for a place to set up shelter. This location is better. But there was a lump of elephant dung. Lindsay found a fallen tree. It fits into an area. It might be better to build a shelter here. They began to clear the ground. Set up here. A gust of cold wind blew. All of Africa looks like it's being sucked into a mummified corpse. Duckman, they're always looking for a place. Have no idea where you're going. Jeremy and Trent are fishing. They dimly heard someone speaking. Gary is cutting wood. They also heard the sound of someone cutting wood. High suspects, he's hearing voices. Cried the Duckman. Sure enough, someone came here. They were all excited at once. No more fishing. Starvation is not as important as a girl. Hungry for so long. Finally, a girl. Two people quickly to engage in the collision. I didn't think it would fit so well. What? Is this so exciting? Hey, 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 hey. They kept holding on tight. Melanie decided to bleed Jeremy dry tonight. Trent quickly hugged the other one. The rest is for Gary. The Duckman said they had been hungry for 7 days. In the end, I couldn't escape the rain. Yet there is food and water. Sarah thinks this place is heaven. Lacey grouped this way. She told Big Guy to pee, because the leather still needs to be dyed. No water for days. This must be a big deal. When they come here, found the drying skin missing. It was left in a puddle of urine. Big is very surprised. What kind of animal is so immoral? The fur was matted up, but there are no footprints nearby. Then this thing must have crawled up from the water, so we can determine that by elimination. That pretty much rules out the lobster. Duckman was wandering around the neighborhood. He felt very hungry now. Already want to quit the challenge. But 8 kilometers away in Matt, he chose to live alone. A deer was hunted today. He removed the skin from the deer. Take a piece of fresh deer heart. Couldn't resist taking a bite. He cut the meat into strips and hung them on the tree. On the 5th day, I was handling deer skins. Animal fur can be used for many things. This high guy is having the best time of his life. Have more meat than you can eat. At night when it rains, he covered himself with fur. But it doesn't help, does it? What needs to be cold needs to be cold. Whether Matt chooses to regroup with another team next, well, that depends on him. Duckman wants out of the game. Jeremy persuaded him to hold on a little longer. It's not even half-time yet. Hold on any longer and you'll starve to death. Probably just too hungry. Duckman chooses to withdraw and go home. My teammates couldn't talk me out of it. Duckman said goodbye to his teammates. Chose to withdraw from the race. Ever as the happiest man, but always hungry. Finally, Duckman got into the car and left here. He's really had enough of Africa. Girl group this way. They've already set up a shelter, but still lying on the ground. There's an endless supply of catfish. They haven't perfected their living environment. Many predators in the wild in Africa. If they're not too sleepy at night, dare not sleep at all. Only a fire to keep them warm. Take turns keeping vigils safe. Lacey this way. Big Guy finally sleeps with Lacey. I can't believe he still sleeps in there. The big one is the big one. She's a pussy, actually. It was a little after 1 a.m. A lion roars outside. Big Guy was scared to piss. What surprises will they bring us next? Look forward to an update in the next video.